We are going to record this presentation just because not everyone has been able to join this morning, and it means that other people get the opportunity to hear about the work which is going on at Homerton Hospital. So, thank you all for joining the call today. It's brilliant. It's great to see that people are interested in this piece of work. So just to give you a bit of background on me, I'm Julia Wood and I co-run the Q Special Interest Group in finding and creating joy in work. And we're always looking for people to share their experiences. So if any of you on this call are making headway with this type of work, we're not saying you need to be fantastic at it. People just want to learn what works well and where improvements could be made. So definitely it would be great to hear from you if you would be willing to do something similar. So just some practical things for this morning. Everyone's been muted on entry to this Zoom call, and the reason for that is because of numbers. We wanted to reduce the amount of background noise, which does inevitably happen when you do things like this. So what we're suggesting is that Annabelle delivers her presentation. If you have any questions, if you could put them in the chat box. So if you haven't used Zoom before, there's a bar at the bottom of your screen, or there should be, and it should say chat, and if you just click on there, you will be able to ask a question, and you can ask that privately or to the whole group. That's entirely up to you, but if you ask it to the whole group, that's really good, and we will pick up those questions at the end if everyone's happy with that as a way forward. So I'm just going to hand over to Annabelle. As I said, it's fantastic that you're able to do this today. We really do appreciate you sharing your stories. It's really good that you've taken the time to do this today. So I'll let you introduce yourself and tell them all a bit about you.
Okay, hi everyone. I haven't really done one of these before, so I hope it's going to be okay. It feels quite strange to be talking at my computer in an empty room, but I'm going to trust that you're all out there. I am a manager of the speech and language therapy team in Hackney, East London. We have about 75 people in our team working all across Hackney and other boroughs in London as well. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my journey from being concerned about the well-being of our staff and a number of issues, and then finding out about joy in work, finding this group, finding other things online, and then using that and a QI approach to try to solve some of the problems. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but I'm just going to explain a little bit about what I did, and hopefully it might inspire you to do something yourself, or I'd love to learn from you guys as well. So yeah, here we go. So the beginning of our journey was the NHS staff survey. I'm sure everyone who works in the NHS is aware of this. And also we had some recruitment and retention issues, and a big emphasis on everyone having to do more and be more productive, and quite a supportive HR team at the time. So some of the results of the staff survey in 2018 concerned me. These were some of the things that came up. So I was getting a picture of our staff who were worse than the organisational average on these things. So they weren't feeling like they were able to do a job that they were pleased with. They weren't satisfied with the quality of care that they provide. They were having trouble meeting conflicting demands. And there were a few other things about the resources. And this was within a context of, I think, our staff working brilliantly. We get really good feedback from patients and children and families, really good outcomes. So it wasn't a problem with what they were doing, it was a problem with how they were feeling about it. This was one of the kind of results things that they gave us, and it showed us that lots of people, the bits in red are the things that are bad. So lots of people were coming in although they felt unwell, they were working extra hours, and I felt this really demonstrated a picture of our team who, I guess the stereotype of a speech and language therapist is a lovely middle class, quite clever girl graduating, wanting to help people, and that kind of inner motivation, which makes people a brilliant therapist, sensitive positive, perceptive also means that resilience at work can be difficult, especially at first. And we have a lot of graduates in inner London who work with us. So we had a bit of a focus group, and we looked into things a bit more carefully. Everyone had a good moan, talked about their problems. At this point, I hadn't heard about the Joy in Work approach. So we came up with some kind of practical ideas. One of the things they said was they didn't have enough materials to do their job. So we looked at auditing materials, seeing if we could buy new ones, that kind of thing. And it went some way towards helping, but it didn't seem to get to the core of the problem. And then a small group of the people involved in that focus group decided to do a survey, and they presented it to our senior team. So it came out with similar results. And also at that point, we had a number of people resigning quite quickly after starting, and some staff with mental health issues. These were some of the survey questions that they used. So do you feel like your wellbeing at work is acknowledged and valued? Do you feel like work impacts on things? I guess quite a negative focus survey, but it felt like those were the questions at that point that we wanted to answer. And this is what came out. So people feeling proud of their work, feeling a sense of purpose, but also lots of stress and effect on sleeping. So they presented this to our senior team, and we were concerned and worried and wanted to try and help, and felt like we'd been doing things that tried to help for quite a while without much success. And that's when I came across the IHI model for improving joy in work, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. And reading that, it was a bit like a revelation. I felt like this is exactly what we need. It's just a different, slightly different way of thinking about it. And at the same time, I've been doing a lot of training about quality improvement. So this really changed the direction, very subtly, but quite importantly, of how I felt like I approached things. And as the manager, I felt like I kind of needed to take it in hand. So the quality improvement approach really gave some discipline in planning and executing the project, and helped me to really use the data and the feedback from staff in a much more structured way, rather than just getting a feeling or people saying, oh, so-and-so is worried, so-and-so is going to leave, this is why they rather than that kind of feedback, much more kind of data driven, which I felt was more reliable. And we also meant we got support from the quality improvement team at the hospital as well. So this is what we really wanted to get from a place where people were saying, if only they would do this, if only they would do that, to what can we do today? And I felt like it was really a culture thing. So everyone had to feel listened to, everyone had a voice. And that whole thing that is at the core of the joy in work, which is what matters to you, what can we do today to help you? That's what we really focused on. And this bit I felt was important as well. The fact that we're identifying pebbles in the shoes, impediments to people doing their everyday job, but we're not ignoring those massive boulders that exist. And throughout the project that I've been doing, I felt that it's really important that senior leaders, that we are showing and giving people a voice to addressing the big stuff, the fact that everyone has laptops and they can't connect properly, the stuff that isn't within our grasp, but we are managing it and prioritizing it, and they know that, so that we can focus on the smaller things. So this was the first driver diagram that we created. So what I did was get a number of interested people together, again, another focus group, and brainstorm all the issues. And then what I did was I took those things away and put it into a driver diagram and then presented it back. So I did have a go at trying to do the driver diagram in a group, but I found that quite difficult. So just kind of collected and also looked at all the previous feedback and surveys that have been done, and got to this and brought this to the group again. So two kind of aspects. One around the systems change, around resources and giving people a realistic allocation within their job, because obviously, you're going to be stressed if your job is unmanageable. So all of that stuff in one section. And then the bit that I feel like this project focused on was well-being. So things like fostering support and friendship, health affirming activities, equipping our staff with tools, and developing a culture. So that section was the bit that this Joy in Work kind of project focused on. So this is the systems change bit, and I wanted to make sure that we had a forum for people's voices being heard, but it wasn't going to be solved within this kind of project, which is going to focus on this section, which is more about well-being. So I brought this slide exactly to the team and thought and helped them to think about these change ideas. Are there any others around these broader themes that we could think about? Really getting everyone's ideas together and just making sure that we didn't have missed any broad ideas. And it was really interesting, actually. So I got all of this from our discussions, brainstorms, surveys that we'd done. And then after that, looked at some of the frameworks that were around again and realized that it really fit. So that's again why I'm kind of passionate about this joy in work thing, because it just makes so much sense. And all of the things within these models had come up naturally from the staff themselves. And so it wasn't like I was trying to put this model onto the staff, but got everything from the staff and then realized that what they were saying was actually kind of typical and had a theory and a framework around it. This is another one, and I'm not sure where this comes from, this meaning, mastery and membership. And again, I felt like these themes that I don't know had been written about or had been theorized about actually made a lot of sense, because what was coming up naturally from our team was also able to fit in these frameworks. So I haven't shared masses of these frameworks with the team, but I guess it's just kind of supporting what I'm doing and giving me confidence that the things that we're doing have an evidence base to them. Okay, so we have to have a think about how to measure the improvement too. And I wanted everyone to be on board with that. So we had a big brainstorm about how we could do that. There are different ways. So good day, bad day measures. If people are based in an office, I've seen people with like smiley faces and sad faces. Smart surveys, people use apps or jars that you can put things in. And I definitely wanted a measure that was collected quite regularly, like in the QI approach, but didn't want it to be overburdening people. And I know we're doing an annual survey and we've got staff sickness and recruitment and retention data, but what we decided on in the end was a weekly survey. So I must say we haven't been doing it every week, but trying to do it. And when I heard about another project that they'd done a weekly survey, I thought that's ridiculous, like who's going to do that? But actually what we found is that me as the manager sending a reminder to fill out this survey about your well-being every week has been an intervention in itself. The thing has been showing that we're looking at it, and it's really short, so you can see it takes like just a couple of minutes to do, and people have said that they have really appreciated taking a step back and reflecting on their week, and it's given us some really good data. So yeah, these are some of the just examples about my emails that I've been sending to remind people. You don't really need to read them, but just to say that I've been kind of reflecting back what people have said to show that we've been listening, giving some information, and then also sending out kind of top tips. So one of the questions was there anything that particularly helped with your well-being? So I've tried to reflect that back to people and share it as well. So this is our driver diagram now, and what we're aiming for as an aim is 80% on our weekly How Are You Today survey. So we've got a wellbeing working group from the team. There's about 8, I think, from different localities across Hackney, and we're using that. We're meeting once every couple of months in reality, and trying to think about how things are going, and just doing lots of things. Lots of PDSA cycles, sharing the ideas, trying them out, having a look at the survey data, having a look at other data, reflecting and then changing. And these are some of the things that we've been doing. So like I said, from the survey, things tips from within the staff groups have been coming out about what helps them. So really simple things like making sure I have a lunch break, or making a to-do list at the beginning of the day, or things that everyone probably really knows about, but reminding people of that. So I've been sharing that. We've implemented something called birthday breakfasts, and this was an idea from another department actually at the Homerton. So everyone born in January, some of the senior managers get together and we have a coffee 8:30 to 9:15ish once a month. That's been going down really well. We've got, so we talked about ideas for celebrating the good, and we talked about having a prize or employee of the month, but we came down on the idea of you've been spotted. So with that idea that everyone's doing something good, but today I'm going to spot that you are. So we've got these little cards that we send to each other saying you've been spotted. We did some resilience training, some psychologists from another department gave that to us. Been having more social activities and after work sports stuff. So one of the things people said was it's great to have a class booked in at like 5:30 or 6, so you have to leave on time. And one of our team is a yoga instructor, so she set up some of those. And we've got more ideas. We've got lots of ideas, but the next ones we're going to try are some checklists to put on the doors at the end of the day. We got this idea from Twitter actually, saying with some a number of things like you know, just reflect on what's gone well today, leave your worries at work kind of idea, and then go home. And then some more training for senior staff about how to support the well-being of others as planned. So yeah, here's some other thing. That's a picture of the well-being wall that's in all of our localities now. So some of these ideas came directly from staff, and some were ideas that we heard about. This is a rounders match that we had. Yoga. And what I've learned as well as a manager is that what I think will work isn't necessarily what all of the staff think will work. I've had a bit of a, I don't feel like I'm that old, but some of our team are a lot younger. They're new graduates, and I feel like they're a bit of a different generation, and they have different needs and expectations, and I've had to learn to, you know, something that I think is a bit naff, like these well-being walls where everyone says lovely things to each other, actually they found really, really helpful. So yeah, that's a big learning for us, most of us in the senior team actually, to kind of swallow our pride and think, okay, they want that, so they can have it, and it's working, so of course we'll do it. One of the questions in the survey is the 3 words that describe your week. So word clouds have been a really good way of showing and collecting the data. So this is one from near the beginning of our survey. Rewarding, yes, but busy, stressful, tiring. And this what made me laugh, this is from half term. So most of us work in schools, so tea, chatting, colleagues, office came up quite a bit. And this is our overall measure. So you can see that there's been some improvement, and I think I need to do something clever with the data because we've had more than 6 points above the median. So I think that indicates a shift, so they tell me in QI. But we haven't quite reached 80% yet, and not everyone is filling out the survey. So I guess that skews it in some way. But I feel like there's been an improvement, there has been an improvement. And I was encouraged by our QI team to have a look at some of the other data and think, can we kind of monetize this? So this is the sickness data that I have, although you will see that it doesn't include a whole year. So I don't know if there's seasonal variation. But sickness has gone down, on paper at least. I had a look at vacancy rates as well, because recruitment and retention was one of the issues, and I realised that actually this dip was when a lot of people resigned quite quickly, and we all got very worried, and that's when we started this project. Actually, it's been going it's been improving, it's getting a little bit worse again, so I don't know, I'm going to have to look at that over time, I think, to see if it is actually having an impact on that. Yeah, so like I said, we've got lots of ideas, and one of the things that I, as the person doing the project, have been really careful to do is take all the information from the weekly service to really look at it carefully. And that has taken a bit of time, but by doing that, by separating all the comments into the sections of our driver diagram, it's been really useful. Like I said at the beginning, like really looking at the data carefully and not just going on kind of hunches and feelings that things are improving has helped. So some really interesting things came out of this. One really encouraging thing was that like by far and away, the most thing that helped people's well-being was feedback from the families and the children, or doing something good at work. Like the work that they're doing. So that was really encouraging to see that we are all motivated by the work that we do. Another really great thing was that another everyone, when everyone said what helped, it was each other. It was chatting to colleagues. I spoke to someone about something. So that's really encouraging as well. So that kind of affirmed the idea that having a culture of support and friendship and well-being, social events and that kind of thing is directly impacting on people's well-being. And some of the things that we thought at the beginning were going to be more helpful, like the sports events and health affirming activities, we called them, so doing exercise classes and things like that, came up a lot less than we'd imagined at the beginning. So looking at the results and taking that time out has been really helpful. Oh yeah, these are just some of the things that came out. Other top tips: taking work during the day, leaving work on time, going to bed early, that kind of thing. And something I've come to recently, which I kind of wish I'd come to at the beginning, was this sustainability model. So thinking about how is this going to carry on. So when I presented this at our QI forum in the Homerton, one of the people asked a question saying, oh, this sounds pretty time consuming for you as the person doing the project, and also quite difficult for you to hear the feedback. And at the time I was like, oh no, it's fine. But actually on reflection, it has been quite a lot of work, and it's been quite driven by me as the manager leading the project, and that isn't sustainable. It's not sustainable for me, and it's not sustainable for the project as a whole. And I've realized that one of the things that I have to do is encourage wider ownership of the project. So we've got the wellbeing working group, and they're all really keen, but kind of I've been calling the meetings and leading the meetings, and so that's my aim, is to make sure that is more the actual control of the project, I guess, is handed over a bit more. And in that, the data and the benefits that we're finding, I've realized I have to share that more. So what I've done in each of our locality bases is put on the notice board some of the data and the graphs and things, which I don't know if it's made an impact, but that's part of me trying to do this kind of sustainability and make sure that other managers within our team are on board with it as well. So like I said, I wish I'd come to this at the beginning and thought about that from the start. I think that would have been really helpful. And also a side note on that idea of it is actually quite a difficult thing to get feedback all the time. And luckily we haven't had that much negative feedback, but I do have a slight sense of trepidation kind of opening the Survey Monkey results each week, thinking, oh, is everyone okay? And it's hard, and I think it's important to acknowledge that and to support each other as managers in that too, because when you've been trying so hard to improve things and then you get maybe only one or two people saying something negative, it's difficult. So there's been positives. I was encouraged to put in this project for an NHS Elect Award, and we got shortlisted. We didn't win, but that felt really good, and that was maybe a few months ago, and I felt like our results were really improving, and we made a film for that on iMovie, but it was really great and it felt really positive. And there's also been some downs. So recently someone resigned who hadn't been with us very long, only a couple of months, and citing that the workload and stress around that. And then we've got another couple of people at the moment that have got mental health issues, and it's hard to know, is that anything to do with that? Is that something they came with? Is that a medical issue, or are we contributing to that still? Is there something about the way that we're working, or how we're supporting staff that's impacting on that? And it's hard to see that when you're working so hard. So there are ups and downs, but what it's helped me to see is that we have to keep going with it. It's not just a one-off thing. There are new staff starting all the time that don't necessarily know where we began in this project. So keeping it up, keeping it sustainable is really important. So as I said, reflections and learning. This is a journey that needs continued focus. Improvement to the bigger systems and an emphasis on personal well-being must go hand in hand. So it was really important to emphasize that as well, because I think the whole kind of focus on resilience training and you must do more yoga in the context of an unmanageable caseload feels wrong. So having those two things, I think, is really important. regular opportunities for feedback are vital. So that weekly survey, actually a lot of things have come out of that, and a lot of broader change to our systems or thinking, reflection has happened. I don't know how long, I think we said we keep that survey going for a year, but I would like to make sure that opportunities for feedback like that, anonymous feedback too, are kept open. And it does work best with a foundation of trust and openness. I feel like we were in a place at the beginning anyway, where our staff are really, you know, they're therapists, they're very self-reflective and thoughtful and positive, solution-focused in their thinking. And they, I feel like as managers, we were somewhere along the journey already. I have tried been supporting another team in healthcare records to do a similar thing. And actually within our admin team as well, it's been a bit more challenging because people are less able to maybe be solution focused in their thinking about the problems and to understand the journey that we might need to go on. So I think I've been lucky that I manage a team of therapists. And planning for sustainability from the start is also important. So next, future developments. Out of this project have come a number of different other little projects. So we realised that administrative support for our clinicians is a real stressor. So we've got another QI project going on that. We do need to focus on recruitment and retention a bit more and think about some practical things we can do around that. And as I said before, we're going to do some training for supervisors around wellbeing, and I think how we manage one another and understanding of this kind of joy in work principles as well more broadly across the organisation. And sharing within our team and within forums like this, I think I'd like to do more and learn more from. So this really speaks to me. Creating joy and engagement in the workplace is a key role of effective leaders. And I think I've realised that it's not just a side thing, and like it's not the icing on the cake. It's actually really, really important to our staff are our greatest asset. So focusing on this and taking the time to do that, I feel like is a really good investment. I'm not sure what time it is. Okay, it's past. So
that was great, Annabelle. That was really good. We have had some questions through. Matthew asked me to remind people that potentially, if this recording's working right, we may put this on YouTube. So if that's all right with everybody, if not, send me an email and let me know. The other thing is we will circulate the recording of this to everyone on the call today. So don't worry, you can have sight of the slides and the recording. So just on some questions, if we just scroll down here, we've had some.
Sorry, I've only just seen your message about. I can't actually see my face, so I don't know.
Sorry, there was a little bit of background noise while you were presenting, Annabelle.
Sorry.
If anyone couldn't hear anything properly, if you just would like to put that as a question in the chat box, and maybe Annabelle can just go over any of those points. Let's just see what questions you've got. So, you've been spotted card, sounds like learning from excellent, sorry. Lots of Q members involved in such positive reporting. And someone else said, I like the sound of you being spotted cards, but you couldn't hear all the details. Could you repeat that? Could you go over that again, Annabelle?
Yeah, sure. So, I was just saying that we consider different ways of encouraging positive feedback, things like employee of the month or superstar of the week and things like that. And we decided that we wanted to do You've Been Spotted because it had more of the idea that everyone's doing something good all of the time, and just this time you've been spotted doing it. So we just designed a little postcard, like a double-sided thing that says you've been spotted, and then on the other side there's a space for a manager or a colleague to write something good. So we've shared that with the whole team, and they can either tell a supervisor or a manager what they've spotted, or they can directly give someone something. We felt that people like to get something from a manager that manager spotted them doing something good. So yeah, it's been going really well. I was really worried, and some of the other managers were worried that people would feel left out, and we'd end up doing one for everyone in the team. But they didn't seem to think that. They thought that it would just generally change the culture a bit and get people looking at good things rather than bad. So.
No, that's lovely. I think that's really good. And I think that's something which probably doesn't take that much to implement, what can have a massive impact. We've got some lovely comments, Irons and Sarah, walls, people seem to has also, for anyone who's on the call, if you looked in the chat box yet, put a couple of links to other sessions which have happened. One on a new blueprint for children's social care to increase time spent with children and families by 60%. Thought that might be of interest as well. Jordan has said, which is lovely, your honesty and reflections of how you've been learning as you go along is really inspiring. So that's great. And I think that is very true. I mean, you've given a very honest view of what's been happening, because, you know, joy in work, it's like everything. Whenever you're trying to introduce something new, some things are more, you know, you're always going to come across some challenges. And yes, Olivia, we'll be circulating the recording rather than the actual slides to everyone who's on the call today. If people want the specific slides, can we do that, Annabelle? Do you think, if you sent me?
That's fine. That's fine. And I can also share. I can share the postcards. I think Kelly, you asked about that. It is kind of branded on us, but I used. I don't know if people use it. It's called canva.com, canva.com. It's like a design website. You can do free designs on there, so I just use that to make it.
Yeah, that if you send those to me, and then once I get them, I'll send them out to everybody. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've just got a couple of questions, if that's all right. Your survey looked really, really good. Very simple. Really liked it, and I noticed it was from Smart Survey. Is that a free survey, or is it?
It's a bit like Survey Monkey, but we decided that we prefer it because it's got a bit more flexibility with less on the less expensive version. So
yeah.
Just like a Survey Monkey thing, but it's got some different features.
I really like that, and I love the idea of the birthday breakfast. I think that was great. And the sustainability model as well, that's something I use quite a lot with teams, and I think
okay, yeah, I'd like to learn a bit more about that, because it is quite I found it a little bit unwieldy to use, but it did make me think of a few things. I'm not sure if I did it properly, but
no, I think the thing is, it's nice to be able to have a model which you can it guides you around different areas which you might want to give more attention to, I suppose, in my view. And I think it's helpful, and it was great to see on your presentation that you put sustainability, start thinking of sustainability at the start, because I think that is true, isn't it? It's about how you take that through, so that's really good.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's great if you have an idea and you can roll it out, but if it's only kind of reliant on you and your time and your passion, then it's not going to last, is it? And eventually it's going to get exhausting. So.
Yeah. And we've had there's some lovely comments coming through.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone should read them, it's lovely. And Sarah's right, it is based, you know, you've used data really well, and I think that's one of the things which people worry about on joint work. How do we measure it? And I think you've done a great job of thinking about that and thinking that through and being able to demonstrate. And
I think particularly with this topic, like we found that, say someone in the team, in one of the teams is not so happy, then someone will tell someone that so-and-so is not happy, and then before you know it, it comes to us that everyone's not happy, and you know, Chinese whispers, and so it's easy then to make a change based on something that isn't actually right. So I felt like, especially with topics like this, where it's around kind of people's attitude and well-being and behaviors and things, it's important to go back to the actual facts and directly from people.
Right. So what I've done there is I have just unmuted. Did you want to add anything else, Annabelle there?
No, I'm sorry it wasn't very clear.
Who's subsidising?
What I've done is I've unmuted everybody. Right, just to make sure anyone who's still in. Has anyone got any further questions they would like to ask?
Good morning.
No? I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, was that Sarah was going to say something then?
I can unmute Sarah. It just got really noisy very quickly. Sarah, unmute. Did you have a question?
I'm not sure if you can hear me. There's a Sarah Meze and a Sarah West. I'm Sarah Meze.
Yes, so did you ask a question? Both Sarahs are unmuted.
Yeah.
I think Sarah West is just chatting in the background.
Okay.
I'd love to hear if there are any next. Where do you go? You know, are there further steps, or is a wellbeing intervention kind of enough, or are there things that then begin to open up? You know, further down the line over the next year or two.
With this project, you mean?
Well, just other sort of, I suppose, cultural or organisational interventions that will help the team service.
Yeah. So doing this has made us reflect on a lot of different kind of ways of being, I guess, and culture within the team. And it's been really good working with the Wellbeing group to see how some members of the team are able to, even though they're not senior, they're not managers, they're able to take responsibility and think about the well-being of others within the team. And so it has definitely made me think about perhaps how we're managing, and also how other teams kind of get a different structure of management. So I think one of the other groups that I've been involved with in the Q community is around self-managing teams. So kind of been thinking a lot about that and how we can perhaps move towards that. And some of the negative aspects of a bigger team include well-being being kind of diluted a bit. So perhaps thinking about when is a team too big and when do we need to change the structures. Something that I've been thinking about.
Have we got any other questions before we wrap up? Box if you have.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and I'd be really interested to hear other people's journeys as well. It's a bit tricky in this forum to have too much, multi-way discussion, but I'd really encourage anyone who's done even a little thing to sign up and do one of these as well. I don't want it, I'm sure you've got loads of ideas.
I would definitely love for other people to come forward and share their stories like Annabelle has today. If you are willing to do that, we would really appreciate it. And if you could drop me an email, that would be fantastic. We're always on the lookout for people. And it's not about having to say how wonderful everything is. I think, as you can see from Annabelle's presentation today, some things have worked well, but some things have dipped a little bit, and it's just been sharing that and potentially the reasons why. So it's been fantastic this morning. Thank you. Just to give you all a heads up, we do have another presentation which is going to take place on the 13th of March at 9 AM, and this is with Kate Grimes from the Intellectual Disability and Adolescents Mental Health Services from the Southern Trust in Northern Ireland. So that should be a great one. She's going to share, her and her team are going to share some of their experiences around implementing joy at work. So watch this space. The other thing I wanted to say was, I don't know how we did advertise this not only on Q, but also wider through Twitter and different things. So if you're not a Q member, I would definitely recommend that you become a Q member. You can find more information at the Q community, and the web address for that is q.health.org.uk, so do have a look for that. And once you become a Q member, you are then able to join a special interest group, which is all around finding and creating joy at work. So you'd be one of quite a number of members on that. I think we've got well over 100 people who are members of that group. So and if you are a Q member but not a member of that special interest group, please do join.
Can I just add something, Julia? Anyone can join the site as a guest and join the special interest groups. Almost, I think all of them. I think they're all open to everyone. Someone might decide to make a post.
Right. Well, Matthew knows way more about this than I do, so that's fantastic. So just join, join the special interest group. But definitely look at joining Q as well, because certainly for me, it's been really helpful and a fantastic thing for me to have been part of over the past few years. So if you're not a member, do that. So we've had some lovely comments around how great this morning has been, Annabelle. So I can't thank you enough for your time today. Very much appreciated. And we will, to everyone else, we will send this information out to you. So if nobody has any further questions, we'll draw today to a close. Oh yes, and Matthew, right, lovely. Right, thank you very much everybody, and hopefully you'll join us on the 13th of March.
Thank you.
Thanks, Annabelle.
Bye. Bye-bye.